Hello, subscribers. This is yours truly, JBlue68, coming to you with my next comic book haul video. This was supposed to have been done this past Wednesday, but unfortunately, I was not able to get to that posting this video because of other things I was doing, including working and living my boring adult life. Before I get into this comic book haul, I want to say thank you to my subscribers. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. For liking, sharing, and commenting, please continue to do so, and tap the notification bell so you get more videos like this as I post them immediately. Let me take a sip of coffee from my I Have Issues coffee cup before we get into this video, to this comic book haul. Okay, and as it says in the description, this will be a super haul. There's a lot of comic books I have to show. We're going to start with our independent comics. Then we'll work our way to Marvel, and then from there to DC. We're going to do it in that order. If you're not into independent comics, you can skip ahead, and get to the Marvel comics. If you're not into Marvel comics, you can skip ahead and get to the DC comics. But I hope that you guys actually watch the entire video. I don't proclaim to be a comic book specialist necessarily, or even the best comic book reviewer, but I do my best. And not only that, I don't have every single book that has come out from any of the independent comic books or Marvel or DC. These are comic books that are my picks, my favorites, that I hope that will be your favorites as well, and that, again, you will enjoy, and if you enjoy reading comic books. So, we're going to start off with a very, very popular, in my comic book world anyway, very, very a favorite of mine, Stranger Comics, from the world of Niobe Ayutami. Niobe Ayutami. Tales of Asunda. This is created by Sebastian A. Jones, and that is actually the creator right there on the comic book cover. He and I talk every now and then on Instagram during his live video blogs. He did a live video blog about 2 weeks ago. He does them usually on Thursdays on Instagram, and he did an actually like a lottery or a giveaway, and I was one of the ones who won. I have actually talked to him a couple of times. He's currently in LA at the LA Comic-Con, and he was kind enough to actually autograph this book for me. I've been collecting Stranger Comics for a couple of years now. And I love the books. I love the whole Tales of Asunda, which is basically a world. If you're into fantasy, adventure type books, this is definitely a tale for you. And it gets out of the norm of what we're used to seeing in terms of comic books, and delves into a different type of mindset, a different type of adventure and characters who are primarily black characters. And I'm glad to see that and to say that. He's a British gentleman, Sebastian is, and very, very cool guy, man. You should watch his blogs when he's on Instagram. He's on all forms of social media, but that's mainly where I connect with the brother. So he autographed this for me. I actually seen him autograph it, and you can see the autograph right there. It looks like he signed that in with a black light pen, because it actually kind of shines even with the light on. Very cool. Thank you, man, if you're watching this video. I'm very proud to highlight this comic book. And I just want to show you some of the artwork, too. And this is cardstock, by the way. I want to show you some of the artwork in the pages here of the book. Again, this is the from the Untamed. And here's his name here. Goes, of course, Sebastian A. Jones. And I believe the artist who actually drew the cover is Peter Bergting. This says here. Layout artist Daryl May, and then there are a variety of other cover artists involved in this book. Peter Bergting, as we just named, Fiona Francois, Jay Lee, David Mack, Richard Thornsberry, and Ivan Teo. I hope I pronounced all those names correctly. Okay, and just let's take a look at some of the beautiful, gorgeous artwork here. Again, I'm going to read this, what it says over here on this page. The ocean she was mine to sate, forgetting her depths were deeper than my breath could hold. Blinded by the horizon and worlds beyond, I unlearned how to swim naked to her wonders that cried below. Deaf to salvation, sailors who had come in search to pluck such pearls, and the tears upon which I would roam until all was dry. I descended to dock on a barren bed among the drowned. She lay waiting, more beautiful than all my travels. Okay, and I'm just going to take a look at some of the artwork from the pages here. Beautifully, beautifully, beautifully drawn. All right, dig that. Let's go do a closer shot of the pages here. They'll move the camera around. You see that? I'm sorry about the glare. I'll try to get some of that glare out of there. Okay. Very, very atmospheric and organic. The artwork is. All right. So if you like stories like, I'll say like Lord of the Rings, or again fantasy type stories, mythology with black characters, this is definitely for you. Look at that. Look at that. Absolutely entirely gorgeous. Absolutely entirely gorgeous. Beautiful artwork again. Okay, so we're going to move on here. I don't want to damage the autograph too, so we're definitely going to keep this baby in plastic. I should say in the Mylar. All right, so there we go. All right, so let's move along here. My comic book haul. This book I picked up this last weekend when I was at Extravacon, which I did a video on, and I picked this book. This was free. They were giving this out at the door. It's not a story that I'm familiar with. It's written by Phil Hester with Michael Broussard. It's called Darkness, and this is actually The Accursed, Volume 3. And I want to show you actually some of the artwork from this book too. Let's see. Yeah, I love giveaways, man. It's always good to get stuff for free, especially as much money as I spend on comics. It's really, really good when someone said, "Okay, here you go." So I'm not familiar again with the story, but the artwork in here is phenomenal. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm not familiar with the story itself either. Okay, I want to be careful that I don't damage the book. This is a trade paperback, of course, or is in trade paperback form. And as I said, this is volume 3, and has a table of contents here. It's written by, as I said, Michael Broussard. Broussard, inks by Ryan Wynn. And here's the introduction here. It gives a forward of what the story is about. We'll just read maybe the first paragraph. Here's what has come before. Jackie Estacado, better known as the Darkness, took over the Central American country of Sierra Munoz. Jackie aligned himself with Professor Kirchner, whom he allowed to live in order for the professor to study him to learn more about the Darkness. He became the reigning drug lord over the country by peddling a highly addictive drug known as Nightfall that was chemically engineered from the Darkness power itself. Professor Kirchner's plans unfolded when Jackie's manufactured love slave becomes pregnant. And I don't want to bore you guys. I'm going to stop right there. Like I said, I was going to read just the first couple of paragraphs, but sounds interesting. Sounds interesting enough. But let's take a look at some of the artwork here, man. Look at that. I always love to show the artwork of comic books. I've said before, wow, that looks very brutal there. Looks like this young man took a bullet to the head. Yikes. Wow. So I've always said, even if you don't necessarily read comics or like to read comics, sometimes the stories can maybe not so good. You have a great artist, man, that can draw, these panels do the inking, and lettering and whatnot, that makes the book that much more interesting or curious to buy. There are some comic books I've read, in my opinion, that are better than some of the crap that you see in these TV shows. Seriously, and in movie theaters. And I read a little bit of this, and this definitely fits that bill, as well as the comic book that you've seen previously. All right, so we're going to move on here. Just going to show you that book. Next up, or this book rather. Next up, we get into IDW Comics. This right here is the IDW monthly catalog title, or title catalog for the month of October. It just premieres a lot of their books that are going to be coming out over the next few months or so. And again, this is going to be a lengthy video, so please bear with me. We have here Godzilla Rivals, the Godzilla Rivals Godzilla line from IDW. And I believe Godzilla Rivals is coming to an end. This is a one-shot here. All the Rivals books have been one-shots. This is written by Jake Lawrence. And the artwork, the interior artwork, I didn't really care for. I think the interior artwork is kind of wonky. Nonetheless, I'm a Godzilla fan, as you very well may know. So definitely I'm going to get as many Godzilla books as I possibly can. After this, we get into Dark Horse Comics. Dark Horse Comics. This is Nightclub Chapter 2. I have the first series story arc, which is written by Mark Millar, artwork by Juan Ramirez. And this is issue number 2 of that series. Now, this series, the first story arc, actually started off with, if I am correct, it was formerly published by IDW, and it was only $1.99. But now that there were Dark Horses, they upped the price. It is now $4.99. Not cool, but it is what it is. Plus, I like the series very much, so I want to continue reading this story arc. Mark Millar, of course, is a very good writer, and this is a very good story. Next, we get into Dynamite Comics Thundercats. I've been able to be consistent with the story. I'm glad to say, continuing this nostalgic adventures of cat people. And I really love this cover there. All the covers for Thunderbolts so far have been fire. This is written by Declan Shalvey with artwork by Drew Moss. They're about to start a new story arc for this too. I believe it starts in December sometime. And there are also a bunch of spin-off stories for this. But right now, I'm just sticking with the main storyline, which I very much have enjoyed so far. Now, we get into the world of Todd McFarlane and Spawn. Spawn Universe titles from Image Comics. And we start off with a book I've praised from the rooftops, which is still, as far as I'm concerned, is going under the radar. This is issue number 6 of Sam and Twitch Case Files. I have loved this story, and I absolutely love that cover. In fact, this cover probably will be cover of the month for me, and the story might end up being a comic book of the year for me. We will see. We'll know that in about 2 more months. All of the Spawn stories on Image Comics are card stock. It's a very dark and ominous story. It's a detective horror mystery story. And as I said, I haven't read this issue yet, but I am up to date on the storyline so far. This story is absolute fire. If you have not been reading Sam and Twitch, you are definitely missing out. Continuing the Spawn Universe titles, we have Misery, which is a story based off of Cyan, who's Al Simmons or Spawn's estranged stepdaughter, whose mother is Wanda, Al Simmons' ex-wife, who he lost when he was murdered. So, but nevertheless, he has a fondness and love for the daughter, which she had with another gentleman. I always forget the guy's name. But in this story, she inherits the dark powers that alter her life and those around her. Again, a very dark and ominous story. I have issues number 2 and issue number 3. Excuse me, this is issue number 3 and issue number 4. It's a 4-part series, so this is actually the final issue of this series. I haven't read yet. I can't wait to read it. I've enjoyed it so far. I think it's pretty good. And continuing in the world of Spawn, we have issue number 1 of 6 miniseries, the first origin story of the Violator. Very popular character in the Spawn universe. He's an enemy and a nemesis to Spawn, a demon sent to oversee Spawn and basically wage all hell and destruction on Earth. The writer is Mark Andrico with art by Piotr Kowalski. The interior artwork is okay, but I absolutely love that cover. Let's do a close-up shot of that cover of this creature here. Again, the Demon Violator. Very, very cool cover artwork there. Love that. Continuing in the world of Spawn on Image Comics, we have Gunslinger Spawn, written by Todd McFarlane himself. And this, of course, is the adventures of the gun-toting Hell Demon himself. All right. Very, very cool there. Let's continue on with the main man himself, Spawn Al Simmons. Love that cover there, and those colors really pop. The camera doesn't really do it justice, but this is issue number 356, the main title. The story is written by Rory McConville with artwork by the infamous Brett Booth, who's worked with Todd McFarlane on many, many titles. Okay. All right, so that ends lot number 1. As I said, we're going to, the next lot or batch of comic books will be Marvel Comics. So let's move these out of the way. And we're going to put our Marvel comic books, starting off with the Marvel previews. Let's see, get that aligned there. So Marvel previews, and this is a premiere of All New Venom issue number 1. Who is the All New Venom? This will be written by Al Ewing. Let's see if we can get a full. There we go. This will be written by Al Ewing with Carlos Gomez and covered by Adam Kubert. Right? We're not going to go through the previews, so just going to show you this as an intro to Marvel. And then right here, this book was gifted to me by a young man who just so happened to see me going to Extravacon, as I mentioned. And again, you can see that video here on my channel. He was pulling up, and he seen me. I had my X-Men shirt on, and he said, "Hey, look, man, I want to give this comic to you. You look like you're an X-Men fan." Blah 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 blah. He just handed this to me. This is X-Men 2099. I've never read it before. Never read the series. I'm not very familiar with it. I'm familiar with the X-Men, of course, but thank you, young man, for giving me this comic book. Hopefully you're watching this video, and you see I've included it in my comic book haul. All right, next up we get into issue number 9, a very, very popular story, a hit story in the Marvel Comics line. This is Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 9. This is written, of course, by the infamous Jonathan Hickman, writer of House of X, Powers of 10, with artwork by Marco Cicchetto. Very, very nice there. Very cool to have in my comic book haul. And I'm going to show you something really quick. This cover insert, which is basically a reprint of the main cover itself, which I just thought was really cool how they did this. It's almost like a poster. You can see that. All right, excuse the glare. Sorry about that. Okay, yep, issue number 9, Ultimate Spider-Man. And those are all of his, most of his enemies on that cover there. Mysterio, looks like Kraven the Hunter, of course, a Kingpin, etc., etc. All right, then next up we get into Fantastic Four, issue number 25. This title, this is Star-Crossed. That's a subtitle anyway. This is written by Ryan North with artist Carlos Gomez. I believe Alex Ross is no longer doing the covers for Fantastic Four. Unfortunately, he's going on to other projects. But that's still a cool cover. I like it very much. Then next up we get into Black Panther or Predator versus Black Panther issue number 2. There's a parental advisory suggested on the cover. This is written by Benjamin Percy, and the interior artwork is by I think it's Sean Damian Hill with Jonas Trinidad, or Lee. I'm sorry, or it might be Lee Ferguson. The artwork the interior artwork is okay. It looks like it was rushed to me, probably rushed to meet production. But the story is good, so that the story makes up for the artwork, which again I don't feel the artwork is the best. No offense to the artists, but the cover art is fire. The cover art is fire. Love that. Next up, we get into the reprinting of the 12-issue series of Marvel's Secret Wars. This is written by, of course, Jim Shooter. And we're almost at the end. Issue number 210 came out this week, and it's on my pull list, so I'll be getting that pretty soon. And we really pretty much have only two more issues to go. We have here issue number 8, and on the back issue number 9, Secret Wars. All right. Moving along, we have issue number 1 of Iron Fist, The Living Weapons. And this is a story by the story of Danny Rand, the kung fu fighting martial artist with the powers of Kunlun. I've never liked the idea of Iron Fist having a gun, for the fact that he is a martial artist. I don't feel he has to have a gun. But I remember when they introduced him using weapons, using a gun a couple of years back. I forgot the title of the story, that they actually introduced a different Iron Fist. And in this book, it's actually a compilation of different Iron Fists. Various stories written by writers like Chris Claremont and Alyssa Wong, to name a few. Then different artists like David Aja, David Aja, I think it is, Kevin Eastman, and Howard Shakin, just to name a few artists. Also in this book, there's a dedication to Don Perlman, who passed this year. He was one of the pencilers and artists for Iron Fist and several other books in Marvel, including Werewolf by Night. Rest in peace, Don Perlman. So there's a memoriam page for that gentleman in this book. This is actually a variant edition of Iron Fist number 1, by the way, celebrating 50 years of Danny Rand as the Iron Fist. And speaking of Werewolf by Night, we have the Red Band edition, issue number 2, written by Jason Liu, I believe, and it's polybag. This is explicit content, reader discretion advised, mainly because it's deemed inappropriate because there's a lot of blood and violence in the book. So I'm going to leave it polybag, and I'll actually read this series when it comes out in trade paperback. But right now, I want to leave this just as is. And that's it for Marvel. That's all I got for Marvel, believe it or not. Okay, so we're going to move this lot to the side and then bring forth our final lot of comics, which is DC Comics. And we have another, this is DC Connect, so this is another catalog. DC basically showing their upcoming books from from September actually, all the way to the month of December of this year. And this is a new story that they will be a new story they'll be introducing, I should say. Let me slow down here. New story they'll be introducing. This is the New Gods, which spins out of the Absolute Power storyline. Romvi and Evan Kegel's cosmic opera will change the fabric of the DC universe. All right. Okay. I was right. This is from October to December catalog. All right. And speaking of Absolute Power, Here's Absolute Power number 2. This is the main series. I was not interested. Well, I won't say I wasn't interested. My wallet really couldn't afford to buy the spin-off series, but I think it was cool for me just to stick with the main series. This is issue number 2 of Absolute Power. I actually have issues number 2 and 3 in this haul. Written by Mark Waid, artwork by Dan Mora. The artwork in here is fantastic. I want to show you some of the artwork too, if I can. Let's see. I read issue number 1, loved it. And I think issue number 4 came out this week as well. Yeah, issue number 4 did come out. The final issue of this exciting series in the world of DC. But look at that artwork, man. Look at that artwork. The artwork to me is stunning. It's colorful and very engaging. I really love that. Here we see Green Arrow there with Batman and a couple of other, well, actually, there's Amanda Waller there too. He raised the camera a tad. I might be incorrect in terms of who all these people are on the page, because again, I have not read these 2 issues yet. But I'm absolutely loving, again, this artwork. These panels are just fantastic. I love the lettering too, and how it's drawn, and especially this page. This fold-out page right here. That is really cool, really cool. Let me just kind of hand the camera around. You see that? Isn't that nice? It's lowered again. That is really cool, man. That almost looks like it almost looks like an animated film cell. That is very cool. Beautiful, stunning artwork, as I said. Can't emphasize that enough. Okay, let's move along here. Hope I'm not boring you. And then here's issue number. Uh-oh, don't want to show that. Let's see, issue. Ugh. My goodness. Okay, here we go. So here's issue number 3. Again, of Absolute Power. Right. Then we get into issue number 8 of Kneel Before Zod. And I'm not sure if this is the final issue, but this is a story I very much enjoyed. It's very exciting. Some of DC's best comic book work. This is written by Joe Casey with artwork by Dan McDade. And there's a big fight between Sinestro and Zod himself. The interior artwork is appropriate for the manner of the story, which is awesome. But I think the cover definitely is better than the cover artwork is better than the interior artwork. No offense again to the artist. And then also, this is really cool here. I was not able to make it to the comic book shops on Batman Day. Greenbrain Comics, who actually is my comic book supplier for the most part anyway, sent these comic books to me, and I thought that was really cool. Thank you, Greenbrain Comics, for all you do. This is Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, written by Jeff Loeb and Eduardo Risso, with Dave Stewart and Richard Starkings. Very, very cool. Very, very popular comic book series. This is The Last Halloween from The Long Halloween. This is book number 1 of 10 of that series. And then here is The Last Halloween prologue, also by Jeff Loeb with Tim Sale. And this is artwork by Brennan Wagner and Richard Starkings. The artwork is really cool. It's like an Art Deco type style. It's dark and moody, as to be expected from a Batman story. So very cool there. Glad to have that. And then we have a facsimile version of Detective Comics or DC Comics, issue number 27. This was it's a magazine-sized comic book, by the way, and it has newspapers print style in turn with the pages. 64-page issue. It's originally printed in May 1939, as it says on the cover here, and the price for this was kind of pricey, since it is a facsimile. It was $7.99 for this book. Nonetheless, I'm glad to have it. And that's it for DC Comics. And I actually have one more book I want to highlight in this haul. that I also picked up when I was at the Extravacon, and that is the Dark Crystal. I have it in a plastic mylar, so there might be a lot of glare on there. The Dark Crystal, I'm going to take it out of the plastic so you can get a better look at it. And this is a hardcover edition. You hear that? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book of one of my favorite movies of all time, Dark Crystal. This is Creation Myths, Volume 1. There's 3 volumes to the series. As created by Jim Henson. It's written by Brian Froud, I believe, and Brian Hoagland. Illustrated by Alex Scheikman and Lizzie John. Published by Archaea. And I believe that this is a company only. They don't necessarily publish books per se. I think there's a specialty company, if I'm saying that correctly, that just, under Jim Henson, the Jim Henson production company, or Jim Henson Productions. But I want to show you some of the artwork from this book as well. This is the intro, a couple intro pages right here, which shows the creators and some of the main characters. Here we have Agra and one of the Skeksis. If you've never seen Dark Crystal, it's a movie that came out in the late 80s. And of course, Jim Henson is responsible for the Muppets, the Muppet Show, and as I said, this movie, I think he was also instrumental in Pan's Labyrinth, I believe. I might be incorrect with that. But yeah, here he is right there. You can see him, Mr. Henson, in a photo shoot. Okay. I've always loved the Dark Crystal. It was featured, or it was a movie that came out in the late 80s. And then it was reintroduced on the TV screen on Netflix about 5 or 6 years ago. It was discontinued, they say, due to production costs. It starred had the voices of actor Mark Strong and Mark Hamill. And you can see some of the artwork there, along with a lot of that glare. There's a lot of glare there. But what I love about this is it actually shows the origins of the planet that they're on, and the origins of Agra, the Gelflings, the Dark Crystal itself, and the alien race that comes to this planet, which is called Thra. That's the name of the planet, Thra. I've always loved the Dark Crystal, and I hope that eventually it will find its way back into the TV screen. I think Shout Productions was looking at possibly introducing it to TV or even to cinema. Again, I hope that will actually eventually be done. It has this beautiful leaflet here on the back of the book. Look at that. I think that's what you call it anyway. So it's a very, very beautifully produced book. I just love how it was done. I got it for a decent price too. You can see the side here. It says the Dark Crystal, Creation's Myth, Brian Froud, and Archaea Productions. So that's it. That's it for my comic book haul. I hope that you've enjoyed this haul. I hope I didn't bore you. Please like, share, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you get more videos like this as I post them immediately. Read a comic book, man. Very good for the mind. Very good for the imagination. Thank you all for joining me. Peace, love, and hair grease.